Hello, crypto world! Welcome to the Chart Historian. My name is Justin, and on this channel, I delve deep into crypto charts, exploring chart structures, fractals, and patterns. So in this video, I wanted to do a quick little update on the XRP chart. Let's put on some lines and make this chart all messy. So if you're familiar with my XRP videos, in particular the last video I made, you will understand what some of this is. So this here, this purple fractal is the fractal from the macro structure that XRP has been following. In this circle here, this is the decline that we are currently doing. I have copied this part right here. That's this blue fractal. And as you can see, it is now currently working out the bottoming part of this structure. So once it bottoms out, it will begin to move up again. So believe we are somewhere in here. Now, I don't know how long this will take to complete this structure. It could potentially drop a little lower. I don't know that kind of stuff, but what I do know is that it has been following it. As you can see, in my last video, I wasn't sure how this was going to play out. I mentioned how we should give it some time to let it play out. Well, it has played out since then, and as it plays out, it is continuing to follow the rough idea of this structure. Now, parts of it move up further, parts of it take longer to play out, and that is expected with the timing, height, and depth being unique every single time a structure or a fractal repeats. The basic idea repeats, but the timing, the height, and the depth will be original to that new iteration of that structure. So what am I looking for going from here? So I would like to see a new iteration of this printed somewhere over here. Now, how much it moves up, how long this consolidation takes is yet to be seen, but that is something that I would be looking for. Let's zoom out here a bit. Okay, so this fractal, this purple fractal, is taken from over here. Now, I am calling this move up and this move down the Great Fakeout. As of now, it is my belief XRP is on track for the Great Fakeout. It's just been taking a very long time. I've been talking about the Great Fakeout since way over here, and it's just been going incredibly slow. But structurally, I believe it is still on course. So what is all this over here? Well, this is a setup that led into the Great Fakeout. So it starts over here with this structure. Now, this is the second fractal of the range-bound time. I will show you that macro structure in a minute. So it comes from this final wave. This structure has three waves: wave A, wave B, and wave C. So it comes from wave C. It hits the first hit on this would-be trend line. It then bounces up, hits it again, and then it bounces up and hits it again. Now, if we zoom in here, we can see it actually hits it multiple times as it forms a bottom. So here we are zoomed in. We can see how it touches it multiple times. It first hits it on the decline down towards this trend line, and then it hits it multiple times. In my last video, I talked about it may go back down again another time, which it has. So this is that same fractal, the one that I told you I would be looking for. So here is how it would look on a day candle. Of course, the timing, the height, and the depth would be different this time around if it got repeated. So let's look at today's chart. So on today's chart, here is that second fractal of the range-bound time. So wave A, wave B, and wave C. Wave C was much larger. Again, this is possible because the timing, the height, and the depth is, like I said, unique to every iteration. So it comes down off of this wave C, it hits that would-be trend line, it bounces up in the first wave, hits it again, it bounces up again, and comes back down, and it first hits it as it's declining, as we saw with the other one, and then it hits it multiple times. It's now underneath it. It kind of poked above it real quick. Let's see how it poked above it real quick. So I would imagine at some point it's going to get above this again, and hopefully we'll begin to see this play out over here. Okay, so here is that macro structure that I was telling you about. So it's a repetitive macro structure. For those of you who follow this channel, you're very aware of it. So you have your bull runs which we see here. We see one over here. Now, the size and height of these things are going to be unique every single time, since the timing, height, and depth is something that is unique and original to every iteration. So we have small bull runs that take place on a small scale. We have ones that take place on a much larger scale. So after the bull run comes the decline, which we see here, we see here. After the decline comes a range-bound time, and I divide this range-bound time into 3 separate fractals. We can see that, for instance, here in fractal 1, part A, where price moves up, it moves down, and then part B, where it kind of goes flat for the most part, we see that took place over here. With part A, it moved up and moved down, and then part B, it went flat in fractal 1. In fractal 2, we see wave A, wave B, and wave C, just like I was telling you. And over here, we see it again, wave A, wave B, and wave C. In fractal 3, we have, in this iteration, we have the first bounce, we have the second bounce, or wave, if you will. We have one here, the second one here. And we will soon begin on this part right here, which I am calling the Great Fakeout. Price will move up drastically, potentially, and then crash. After that crash, it will recover. It does a correction right here before moving into the bull run. So the essence of Fractal 3 is that it moves up to a peak. The way it does this, it's unique every single time, but the basic idea of moving up to a peak and then crashing back down, then moving back up, doing a little correction before moving into the bull run, that has repeated over and over and over again. All of these structures have repeated over and over again. This is a repetitive structure, so the bull run, the decline, and this sideways range-bound time. The 3 fractals within the sideways range-bound time, they're repetitive. Every single time it plays out, it's unique, it looks different, but it does the same sequence of events. So Fractal 2 has 3 waves. One of the Fractal 2s, at one point in the chart, it happened on a real small time frame. It was just like 1 day candle up, 1 day candle down on, I think it was B. But nonetheless, it does the 3 or the ABC waves, and Fractal 3 always has it go up to a peak, it crashes, and then does that recovery. In Fractal 1, it's the same idea. Sometimes this B part goes a little deeper than just going flat. But anyways, that is the macro structure. It is something that you can depend on. The idea repeats every single time. The way it looks, it's unique every single time. So that can allow for something like this not to necessarily play out like we're envisioning over here, but the idea of a peak, whether it is this peak and then it crashes even further and then pulls up, does that correction and goes into the bull run, that is a possibility. This fractal over here, right here, this third fractal, it looks different. So it moves up to a peak, it then crashes, does a small little tiny correction, and then it's off to the bull run. We go over here and look at this one. So it comes to a peak, it then declines, crashes, it then recovers, does a small correction, and then it's off to the bull run. So as you can see, this structure has played out many times on the XRP chart. Every single time it looks different. So here we are back at today's chart. So we should be open to different possibilities, but as of now, it has been following this fractal the closest. With the first wave, we see that right here. The second wave, we see that right here. And the reason why it's declined, it's because the same setup is taking place where it goes back to the trend line, whereas over here it was very far away from that trend line, so it had to drop quite a bit more. So if this continues to follow, which it has so far, this is what we can expect, that great fake out. So folks, that's where we're at. Looking for this to complete, and I'd like to see something like this begin to materialize on today's chart. Well, I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, it'd be much appreciated if you hit that thumbs up button. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but if you did find this video interesting and you would like to see more of this and you're not a subscriber, I recommend hitting that subscribe button. This is original TA. Anyways, I'm so glad you caught this video. I hope you catch my next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.